Patriot Nation Radio.
What's up, everybody? This is Jordan Page. In light of the recent events in Oregon, I just wrote a song that I want to share with you. This is called The Ballad of Lavoy Finicum. Subtext, Cowboys Stand for Freedom.
He was a man who loved to walk the land, turn his cheek but also take a stand. When his conviction called, he followed what he felt was right. Well, there's no telling just what time will bring. You can live for nothing or for everything, but when the pushes come to shove, and tell me, will you find? I'm only talking about a cowboy stand for freedom. I'm just talking about a name carved in a stone, a friend and brother to anyone. He's riding off into the setting sun. Drive on, cowboy, he's heading home. Well, there's almost right and then there's nearly wrong, as you live your life from sunrise to dawn, and then it's over and the moment's gone. You can testify to things unseen, but the world is blind, can't see a thing. All you can do is try to be a human being. I'm only talking about a cowboy stand for freedom. I'm just talking about a name carved in a stone, a friend and brother to anyone. He's riding off in the setting sun. Drive on, cowboy, he's heading home. I know not what course other men may take. I can't see that far down the road. But as for me and mine, make no mistake, the weight of justice is a heavy load, and I'm living by code. He left his home to go and take a stand, as boys rang out across the deafened land, and in the end it was a bullet that exposed the line. A truth remembered is a battle won, though his murder cannot be undone. It rings out like an echo, thundering across the night. Here's to all the cowboys that stand for freedom. Why do we watch them from afar with hearts of stone? He's riding off to the setting sun, the thoughts of many from the voice of one. Well, drive on, cowboy, your work is done. Well, Godspeed, cowboy, will carry on.
There you have it, folks. That's the Ballad of Lavoy Finicum. JordanPageMusic.com for all your things. Jordan Page, tour dates and stuff like that. I just checked him out a couple of weeks ago here in the Sunshine State. Excellent, excellent show. He's really good. He really has that acoustic guitar in tune. He knows how to play them strings. He's got that six-string mastered. He is the master of the six-string, I'm telling you now. Check out JordanPageMusic.com for all things Jordan Page, like I said. And I also would like to do a quick public service announcement for my good friend, Pastor Sylvester Bland, and Home Churches International. I like to always promote my good friend, Pastor Sylvester Bland, over at UnitedSaintsOfAmerica.us. He's got a show Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Check it out. It's the United Saints of America. And this is for his campaign, Feed the Beast No More. For decades now, in the name of fun, food, and entertainment, conservatives, Christians, and patriots have created a monster. Unknowingly, after we spent billions of our hard-earned dollars supporting these corporations and sponsors, we now see their plan. They systematically have bought politicians to spread their immoral social agenda. They have sued in court and have successfully closed down some businesses. Enough is enough. Let's Feed the Beast No More join the national boycott, targeted for now 8 corporations and sponsors of media. And if you want to see that official list, head over to www.theUnitedSaintsOfAmerica.us, the United Saints of America.us, or call Pastor himself, 951-360-3399, 951-360-3399. Speak to Pastor Sylvester Bland yourself. Great man right there. And you know what? Next, they'll be coming for our jobs, churches, and our religious freedom. So let's feed this beast no longer, folks. You know what I'm saying? Here we are. A lot of crazy things going on. Blog Talk Radio apparently has changed everything. And they did not I did not get the memo. It was a kind of a struggle to get this show underway tonight. But here we are. We are live. It is 6:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is Patriot Nation Radio. And we are doing Constitution 101 with our good friend Char. Welcome to the show, Miss Lady Federalist. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm all right. We made it.
Yes, we did.
We're live by the skin of our teeth. Technology is that there's always a way around it, I guess. We can get it done. Here we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, Constitution 101 on Patriot Nation Radio with the Lady Federalist and me, your host, Mark Hoffman. And if you could say it faster than me, I dare you.
I'm not even going to try.
That's the New York in me, you know what I mean? We talk fast.
Yes.
We talk fast and we don't speak no English. See what I mean? We don't write no English neither. All right, folks. Last week we left off, we didn't quite get through the First Amendment completely, so we want to kind of touch a little bit on the religious part of the First Amendment, I think is what we had talked about, correct? And what did you want to add as far as the religious, freedom of religion aspect of the First Amendment?
The only thing that I wanted to add on there, and I believe that Pastor Bland would agree, because he discussed it on a couple of his conference calls, is the modern Christian church, the silent majority, as they're often referred to. Pastors in some of these churches have done the Christian faith a huge disservice, especially when they rely on, I believe it's Romans 13, with regard to rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's. So the parishioners are encouraged to pay their taxes on every level, and yet the vast majority of churches maintain a tax-exempt status. So
Right.
It's a double standard that our churches are maintaining this tax-exempt status, and by doing so, our pastors are not teaching any truths. They oftentimes do not allow speakers or even candidates that would be to the moral standard for our nation. and the parishioners to come into and speak in their churches for fear of losing their tax-exempt status. And it has, in my opinion, led to the creation and establishment of grandiose mega churches. Why would, through an alleged separation of church and state, would we have what I deem and see as state-sanctioned churches? Because by taking this nonprofit status, you are receiving approval and sanction by the state to exist and operate. I challenge churches to give up their tax-exempt status. There's no reason to have a tax-exempt status unless you are truly doing charitable works in your community. And there are a few churches that do. The one church that I go to monthly to visit the food pantry, they aren't giving food from their parishioners that are donated. They're giving food via the Department of Agriculture and participating with the Department of Agriculture. So they're doing nothing more than donating space on a weekly basis, twice a week, for people to come in from the community and take advantage of the local food bank at this place through the pantry. So all they're doing is donating space and being allowed to write off the electricity and time that is being used on those 2 days a week. How is that really charitable work? It isn't. Because families are having to fall under USDA mandates for how much food they can receive.
Right, so there's no separation of church and state there, except separation of church and state really isn't the constitutional thing, right? It's as far as I can tell, it was a letter from, I think, Thomas Jefferson that was written where
right.
believe it probably should be in the.
It was an opinion, right? It was an opinion by one of our founders to separate church and state. But the actual First Amendment just says that there will be no establishment of a national religion or a state religion, and because of a guarantee of Republican government in each state, according to the federal Constitution, no state can establish its own individual government either. But be that as it may, when people understand that their churches are telling them to pay taxes, and any donations or tithes, and biblically speaking, a tithe is 10% of one's income before taxes. They're tithing to an entity that is not paying taxes. And then they have to turn around, they're generally given an annual statement of what they've tithed so that they can claim it on their taxes. How is that really? I don't believe, and I've read Romans 13 in many different translations, I don't really believe that's what it means. Not in my opinion. Not when what we're paying taxes on doesn't really support biblical principles. So that's really all I wanted to follow up on with the First Amendment is we need to stand on principles with our First Amendment speech and with our First Amendment freedom of religion to be able to say, no, I don't want to support Leviathan.
Amen. And that brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to probably the most famous amendment to the Constitution, or at least equal to the most popular, which would be the First Amendment, is the Second Amendment, which states a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma. Well, I forgot a comma in the beginning. Let's start again. A well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed. Now, the word militia is capitalized. That would be to bring a little emphasis to that word, correct? And arms and stuff like that. When they capitalize words in the middle of a sentence, that's to kind of shine a light on a word, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
to either shine a light on the word or to provide the necessary importance of that word, being that it's a proper noun.
Right. And now, folks, there is some confusion to a well-regulated militia.
Yes.
Regulated meaning not regulation to infringe on your rights, but regulated as meaning training and have enough equipment to maintain liberty and freedom. Is that what I get from that word, regulated?
That's correct. The term well regulated, regulated being the verb and well being the adverb for the grammarians who are listening. That phrase there, that verb phrase, was used at a time when it meant well trained by the person doing the training themselves. It did not mean regulated by code, ordinances, laws, legislation, etc. That is not what it means.
Right, and some people today take regulated as like, we got to add regulations, like we got to put cap and trade on the coal industry, like
Correct.
a regulation, something to tie your hands or to. So it really is subject to interpretation. So if you have a Supreme Court justice appointed who has liberal leanings, and the Supreme Court basically interprets the wording of things, they could sure point to that word regulated and change the meaning of it, couldn't they?
Well, absolutely, and that's why Noah Webster wrote the first dictionary. It wasn't so that people would have a dictionary. Noah Webster wrote the first dictionary so that the meanings of words could not be changed.
Right.
And he did that because the Constitution is a contract. Former Justice Scalia, may he rest in peace, was very clear that the Constitution is a legal contract. And that is why Noah Webster, who was very young, he was one of the youngest founding fathers during the Revolution, he made sure that a dictionary was written so that all of the terms and words that were used at the time of the creation of this contract would always be understood. Unfortunately, as always happens with language, the meanings of words change with their use over time.
Right. See? And then, of course, being necessary to the security of a free state. Now, that phrase there, obviously, is so that states can stick up for themselves in times of tyranny. Is that correct?
Not just in times of tyranny, but in times of any type of war.
Right.
It was because the founders did not ever intend to have full standing armies like we have now. The intention was never to have a constant Army, Marine Corps, of course Air Force would not have been heard of at the time, and Coast Guard. The Navy was the only branch of government that was, or military rather, that was ever meant to be full-time, because they came from Britain, and Britain obviously had full-time Navy, and that was the only thing that was meant to be full-time. A standing army, no, it was never meant to be standing. As a matter of fact, when you read the Constitution, you can read where it says that it's only ever to be, the army was only ever meant to be funded for a 2-year period.
Right.
And only in war.
Yeah. And so when they say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, that there would kind of nullify their efforts to regulate the ownership of firearms, wouldn't it? Shall not be infringed. Yes, shall not be infringed is pretty much set in stone. Shall
right.
not be infringed. That was worded that way so that they cannot confuse it. Am I correct in that assessment?
That is correct. Shall being the verb and not being the negator. Shall is synonymous with will. So if you need to, you can paraphrase it to will not be infringed.
Right. And so basically the Second Amendment is the most solid of all the amendments almost, as far as that one phrase, shall not be infringed, just cements the whole amendment. And they cannot violate that, which they're violating it every second of every day. They violate the Constitution. It is so obvious to me that the Constitution really is gone because of the way the government operates today. They can only operate in violation of the Constitution because they've legislated it to death, and everything they do now is a violation of the Constitution almost.
Right. And I today received a message from one of my followers in Great Britain who shares information with me from over there because, of course, our mainstream media doesn't share what's going on in Great Britain. And this follower is very good about sharing news clips, especially videos, of things that occur over there. The most recent one that was shared with me was from a trucking blog over there of a trucker who had a steel pole crammed through the windshield by a group of folks in Calais. Another one was shared about a French Calais national, I guess, I don't know, a resident of Calais, France. And Calais is on the edge. You know, it's a seaport town, and it's right where the crossing is into England. And there's lots and lots of immigrants there. And this lady was talking about what's going on there in France, and it is just horrific what's going on. And it makes one wonder, are these people lying about what's going on? But one of the things that he said to me that sticks with me, he says, do not give up your arms. Europe is lost. We're going to have another crusade. Do not give up your arms.
Yeah, we can't. I have some folks in Australia that listen, and they have had their arms taken away, and they portray the same message. Do not, under any circumstances, give up your arms. It means certain doom.
It does.
And we can watch Australia. If we watch Australia and how things are going, we really pay close attention to the way the police are and the government is. And I'm sure now that the guns are away from the people, you will see more tyranny creeping in and the rights of the people of Australia being squashed even further. So if we really want to understand what will happen if the Second Amendment goes away, and it might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow. It could be in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But you watch the tyranny creep in. Watch the tyranny creep in on these people of Australia and see what happens. I think it's a good example for us to watch, because I know that they're watching us very closely over there. A lot of these countries really have an eye on the United States of America to see what exactly is shaking here with the people, how they stand up to the tyranny, and an example for them to follow. So we really got to set the example for the rest of the world, again, as the greatest nation. As the greatest nation and the beacon of freedom, because people are watching. It's not
they are.
It's widespread. I got folks in New Zealand. I spoke to somebody in New Zealand, same story. They're watching us. Don't give up your guns. Germany and the UK, they're all saying the same thing. So, folks, it's very imperative that you exercise your Second Amendment rights as much as possible and hold on to your wares with everything you have. You know, very important stuff.
Some very important things to remember about the Second Amendment is that it is a people's right. If it were meant to only be for the states, then George Mason, who was one of the authors of the Second Amendment, and I don't know who the other author was, or I would say his name, would have included or excluded the word people and only included state. Not only that, but if it were just for the states, it would negate Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, which reads, no state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace. And, I mean, it continues, but so if it's only to establish the right of militia in a state, then that negates Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3. The Second Amendment is a natural, inherent, unalienable right to life, liberty, property, and pursuit of happiness. It is protection from tyranny and preservation of liberty, and it's our self-defense of others and for ourselves. It's a right and our duty to preserve our life and to preserve the lives of others.
And it's also the backbone of the rest of the Constitution. It's what protects the rest of the Constitution. Because once they take away our right to self-defense and we cannot defend the Constitution,
right,
then they'll have their way with us. And FEMA camps will be full overnight.
Right.
I think they're trying to fill them now anyway.
Well, George Mason, who did co-author it, he said, I ask, sir, what is the militia? It is the whole people. To disarm the people is the best and most effective way to enslave them.
And they knew that a long time ago. They figured this stuff out, folks. Now, this new Blog Talk Radio, ladies and gentlemen, they changed the whole site. We barely got this show off the ground tonight. I have no studio capabilities. I have to figure this out. So this show may run over, it may not. We don't know right now, but we're having a good time. And if it does, www.blogtalkradio.com/Patriot Nation. And you catch the rest of this episode, or you can just listen to what we just had here on Patriot Nation Radio with our good friend, the Lady Federalist, Char. Charlotte, why don't you give folks out while we're still live how they can connect with your show?
Well, the best way to connect with me is to go to the Lady Federalist on Facebook, and every week on Friday between 7 and 9 p.m. Eastern Time, I have a show, and I post the link to that week's current episode along with the phone-in number. And the telephone number never changes, so let me go ahead and pull that up. Hopefully it will let me.
Yep. And you have she has a Facebook page too, folks, Lady Federalist. Check it out. She had a great show. In fact, I listened to the whole thing again last night from the LaVoy Finicum Memorial Rally this weekend. What was that, San Antonio, Texas?
That was in Austin, Texas.
Austin,
correct.
Austin, Texas. And good stuff happening there. Really, it was a proud week. 42 rallies across the country, 42 different states, I should say. Many, many rallies, but 42 states participated, and it was a great show. Very proud to be affiliated with even just one person who stood on an overpass this weekend or held a rally at a state capitol or a federal building. God bless every one of these folks who stood out there in memorializing this great man who gave his life in defense of freedom on the soil of our country. It is the blood of a patriot watering, literally, the tree of liberty, as quoted from Tara this weekend on the show. We had a great, great show Friday night with Mrs. Finicum, Tara, Shalise, and Brittany. I want to thank those ladies for coming on the show and really laying it all out. LaVoy was a real good influence on the family. These family members of his are very much still in the fight. God bless each and every one of them. We're looking to put together the Memorial Day tribute to LaVoy Finicum with mass broadcasts and mass overpasses, people paying another tribute not only to the great patriot LaVoy Finicum, but those men and women who have given the ultimate sacrifice in defense of the Constitution, of which we are going over amendment by amendment on Constitution 101, Patriot Nation Radio. And check this out while I got another couple seconds live. Oh, well, never mind. Tune in next week. Oh, boy, I love that. And being that we're on a conference call, you can hear the countdown, right?
Yes.
There you have it, folks. You can't hear it, but we can. But we're in the recorded session. So what I'm going to say anyway is I got a really cool lineup coming up on the World Integrity News Network. Really cool. And, of course, this Thursday I'll have a live report from the border because, ladies and gentlemen, the southern border is still porous and people are pouring across it as we are distracted with things like elections and patriots getting locked up against their constitutional rights to, speedy trials and having the right amount of bail set so they can free themselves and mount a defense. They're violating their civil rights. It's okay, though, because they're Christian Americans who love less taxes, small government, and freedom and liberty. So that's okay. If you're one of those people, your civil rights can be violated. It's okay, apparently, in this current administration. It's pretty scary. Why are people so complacent? Why have they given up on the Constitution? Why do you think that folks have given up on the Constitution so badly? Or they don't even know they gave up on it.
I honestly don't know.
Isn't it?
I think a lot of people have not studied the Constitution.
And that's why we're doing our show.
Right. Exactly. And so few of us have ever even been taught the Constitution in school. We're taught bits and pieces and not the whole thing.
Yep. And that's why my son will learn it. I make sure that he sees it on the wall. He knows that I always have it with me. We're always having American flags around and on display, so he understands the greatness of what we have here, and what many have taken for granted. I have this guy at work, and he tells me he's a liberal. And we talk. We have very good conversations. So I ask him things like, why do you hate the Constitution? Do you think the Constitution is a bad thing? Do you think it's a dead document, or do you think it still lives? Because to me, it's a living document. This thing will live until either complete revolution and we have to reinstill the organic Constitution that was hijacked in 1871 with the Act of 1871. But I asked these guys, why do you hate the Constitution? He never answered. And I said, do you think that we should let all these refugees in? He says, well, yeah, we have to help everybody. I said, great. So, and what about the Mexicans and the Guatemalans and everybody else coming across the sun? Yes, we got to let these people in. I said, great. How about you take 2 Syrians and 1 Mexican at your house and you take care?
Right.
I don't want my tax dollars paying for it because I'm not for it. And I don't. And when we're talking about that, I don't want my tax dollars going for abortions because I don't like it. It may be fine for someone else. Let that person pay taxes for it.
Well, it shouldn't be paid by taxes anyway.
How about not using tax money at all, but for you making your decision, and you have that choice, and you have that right, apparently, you pay for it. Out of your pocket.
That's exactly what it should be. And
it's to each his own.
Right. We should have the right to self-determination. And when we take that right away, I read something rather interesting. Someone shared a post to me earlier today, and at first I thought it was a joke. I really did. But apparently, and I'm going to have to pull up the article here. Let me locate it. Because at first I really did think it was a joke. But apparently it's true. Let me see, is this? Nope, that's not it. Where did it go?
I don't know, I'm not there.
You silly man.
Yeah,
okay.
I know, I can't help it.
Maybe I placed it here.
They changed everything about this site.
A federal court has decided that you do not have any right to engage in rough sex even if it's consensual. Now, I know this is, a little silly and everything, but the reasoning that they have used behind this, okay, this is an actual case, Doe versus George Mason University et al. Okay, a George Mason student was expelled for allegedly having sex with a woman without her consent because he failed to stop their BDSM sex after his partner said the, quote, safe word. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not, into this kind of thing. But when I got this article, I thought, surely this is a joke. No, it is not. It is not a joke. The decision, okay, was based on the federal government saying that they have every right to ban it. In this respect, the conclusion that there is no deeply rooted history or tradition of the BDSM sexual activity remains relevant and important to the analysis. Also relevant and important to the analysis is the absence of a history of impermissible animus as the basis for the restriction at issue here. Sexual activity that involves binding and gagging or the use of physical force such as spanking or choking poses certain inherent risks to personal safety not present in more traditional types of sexual activity. Thus, as in Cruzan and Glucksberg, a legislative restriction on BDSM activity is justifiable by reference to the state's interest in the protection of vulnerable persons, i.e. sexual partners placed in situations with an elevated risk of physical harm. Now, again,
well,
I know the topic is a little risque, but since when does the state have the right to come into our bedrooms?
I don't know, but I like spankings.
Well, I mean, exactly, because it's a vague and overly broad ruling, and it leaves, and I'm reading directly from this article on Filming Cops. Okay. The vague and overly broad ruling on what is considered BDSM leaves room for additional state intervention into the bedrooms of consenting adults. By this definition, the act of spanking your spouse on the behind during sex could warrant a criminal investigation.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And by using this long-standing historical basis, well, then we need to get rid of cell phones. We need to get rid of CD players. I mean, seriously?
Crazy stuff, huh?
It is. I'm serious. I thought it was a joke. And no, it's not. There's a 42-page decision on it. I clicked on the link and I downloaded the doggone thing. I could not get over it. I haven't read the entire, court case yet because I had to get ready for the show. But I thought, holy cow.
Well, they're in our bedrooms anyway. If you got a smart TV, they're watching.
No, see, I'm one of those people that, I just don't replace anything until it's broken, and I'm not getting any smart TVs. When my old box TVs break, I'll head to a pawn shop and buy a used box TV. I'm just not gonna, if I even get another TV. I don't watch that much television anyway. I'm just not going to go there. Television is not that important to me. It really isn't. And when it comes to private conversations or other, private things, I make sure that my room is clean of any type of technology. No cell phones, no computers, no tablets, nothing. It goes into another room. That way, if they do turn them on remotely, they're going to get the inside of the closed thing, or they're going to get the inside of the box, or heck, they might even get the dishwasher. I don't know. I mean, it just depends on where I put them. I've been known to put things in the refrigerator, so they may get, an inside shot of, the hippie colony because I haven't cleaned the fridge in a while and everything's fuzzy. I mean, it just, I just, I'm not, call me crazy, call me conspiracy theorist, but I just don't trust my government.
Nope, me neither. And, great quote once said, when the government fears the people, you have liberty. When the people fear the government, you have tyranny. So right now, I don't think we have complete tyranny yet because the people don't know they fear the government yet because they haven't seen the wrath. But some of us have seen the wrath, and now we know what's coming. And we're seeing it. We see the writing on the wall because we're paying attention because we're not in front of those TVs all the time. We're always digging for truth and justice of some sort. And truth to me is very important. I can't stand the people that spread the bullcrap stories, I try so hard, and I have certain people on my friends list that I know if they're publishing it, it's got to be good because I know they vet everything, and those are where I share my stories from. I don't just go and pick a random story and share it,
Right.
You can't trust nothing. You can't, man. I trust my wife and myself and my son. After that, I don't know, Can you trust anybody? Can you trust your own brother sometimes? I don't think so. I see my own brother. My own brother robbed my father,
I trust my dog, and I trust my man, and that's about it,
Your pets, pets. You can trust your pets for sure, folks. Trust your dogs, trust your cats.
Yeah, I trust my dog. She's really smart, and she knows good people from bad. Other than that, my trust is pretty much not there. And speaking of, I need to go let her back indoors. So if you guys hear the sliding door, just bear with it. It's a loud sliding door.
Well,
Yeah, but
I've learned you got to trust your pets. If they don't like somebody, pay attention to that.
Yes.
There are some people that just don't like pets and pets don't like them, and they're good people. Like my mother-in-law, I have a cat that can't stand my mother-in-law. It's at her all the time. My mother-in-law is one of the greatest people on the face of this planet. She's amazing, and I know that she's no threat. But the cats don't like her.
Cats can be a little finicky. Dogs are a little bit more in tune. Cats can be a little bit finicky, I've noticed. But, my dog, she goes with me on walks, and she's normally quite friendly to people, but only twice in the time that I've had her has she ever alerted for me. And when she alerts, it's generally for good cause. And that gives me enough head's notice, okay, we need to switch sidewalks or maybe turn around and go back where there's more population or something to that effect. She's a good girl. She takes care of Mama.
Yeah, and dogs really do know. It's pretty amazing how smart they are when the dog tells you that person's no good, that person's probably no good. It's been my experience. Watchdogs. And luckily for everybody, if you guys are listening still, or you're going to tune in and hear this recorded version, everywhere I go, the pets and the children love me. It's crazy. So I must be pretty cool. I mean, my friend has this mean Rottweiler. Ooh, stay away from that mean dog. He'll bite your head off. And we're over the house one day, and I'm hanging out. I'm waiting for him to come home. I'm friendly with the whole family. Me and my wife are friendly with the whole family. And I'm watching the New York Yankee game with Grandma. And I'm laying in front of the TV on the carpet with this big mean dog rubbing his belly, kissing my face. Right. And they walk in the door, and they're like, how the heck?
You're right.
How are you not dead? Why is that dog licking you? What the?
Yes.
Bad dog. Get outside. This is the biggest, meanest dog that you could ever see, Rottweiler. You come to the door, he wants to jump through the glass and eat you, literally. And here I am rolling around with it on the carpet, rubbing his belly, getting licked on the face. They were kind of shocked, but I know this has absolutely nothing to do with the Constitution, but it does have to do with America and the American way and the way we are as people. And we are this way because we have a Constitution that's kept us free, and people have been dying to defend it for years. And we got to keep it sacred. We got to keep it on the straight and narrow. And folks, tune in next Monday for Constitution 101 on Patriot Nation Radio, Amendment 3. Very interesting amendment. When you ask people what Amendment 3 is, 9 times out of 10 the people scratch their head and go, I have no idea.
Right.
How many people know what Amendment 3 is? And we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on Amendment 3, and if we get through it, maybe we'll even go into number 4. Who knows? But that's another one, Amendment 4. A lot of people don't know what Amendment 4 is until after they get illegally searched and seized upon. Right. They learn quickly.
Amendment 4 is going to require an hour, I do believe, so you may want to go ahead and schedule that the following week. Amendment 3 we can work on, and we can touch on a little bit more of 2 if you want to. I found quite a few beautiful quotes from our founding fathers, but I'm also going to dig deeply for Amendment 3 because it's terribly important from a very historical concept or context.
Well, we're going to get cut off here in about 2 seconds. I just want to say, Char, thanks for coming on again tonight.
Oh, you're welcome.
Patriot Nation 101. Check out Lady Federalist on Facebook pages and on Fridays with the radio show at Blog Talk Radio. Until we meet again, folks, good night. God bless America. And don't forget to head over to www.madisonrising.com. They're the most patriotic rock band in America, in the world, doing the Star Spangled Banner, God Bless America, and the Marines Hymn and other tunes. Check them out, MadisonRising.com. Right. Until then, good night, and God bless America.
And America bless God.